The first victim was found in her locked car in a busy downtown parking garage. No signs of struggle, no cause of death. Just an empty, breathing body with wide, unblinking eyes that reflected nothing. A perfect physiological shell with no one inside. The media called it the soul killer. Detective Kieran Marsh, a man who built his career on tangible evidence, stood over the third such victim and felt the foundation of his world crack. The victims were unrelated. No connections. But Marsh, obsessing over the files, found the thread. It wasn't in their lives, but in their last moments. Enhanced traffic cam footage showed each victim in their final hour, having a seemingly normal conversation with an empty space, a park bench, a shop window, their own reflection, then a subtle change. Their posture would slacken, their expressions would smooth into blankness, like clay settling. They would then walk calmly to the place they would be found, and stop. The break came from a witness the uniforms had dismissed, a homeless man named Eli, who frequented the park where victim 2 was last seen alive. Eli said to Marsh that she wasn't talking to herself. She was talking to the Grinning Man. He stands in the corner of your eye. He looks like someone you forgot. Marsh had the department sketch artist work with Eli. The result was not a face, but an impression. A tall, slender figure in a slightly outdated suit. His features a smudge of grey, except for a wide, impossibly bright smile that seemed to be the only solid part of him. 3 days later, Marsh saw him. He was reviewing security footage from a library where victim 3 had been. In the corner of the frame, standing between 2 stacks, was the Grinning Man. His head was tilted, watching the victim read. He wasn't on the library's guest log. No one else in the footage reacted to him. Marsh felt a cold void open in his gut. The case became an obsession. He set up cameras in his own apartment, a paranoid web of feeds. He stopped sleeping, chasing the ghost in the data. Then, reviewing his own footage at 3 a.m., he saw it. In the reflection of his dark kitchen window, a tall, blurred shape stood behind his chair. The timestamp showed it had been there for 2 hours, watching him work. The smile was a white gash in the gloom. Marsh's scientific mind shattered. This was the predator. It didn't kill, it evicted. He theorized it was a psychic parasite, a consciousness that existed by hollowing out others and wearing their empty lives like a skin until it frayed. The conversations were it feeding, sucking the essence of a personality through some invisible straw. His descent was swift. He saw the Grinning Man in crowded streets, always in the periphery. His reflection in mirrors began to lag a half-second behind. One morning, he couldn't remember his mother's maiden name. A piece of him was already gone. He tracked the entity's pattern, predicting the next neighborhood. He staked out a lonely bus stop, the air crackling with impending rain, and he saw it. The Grinning Man was there, leaning against a shelter, his form flickering like a bad signal. He was facing a young woman scrolling on her phone, utterly unaware. Marsh saw the predator's smile widen, its head tilting to begin the feeding. Marsh did not think. He screamed, charging from his car. "Look at me." He roared at the entity. The Grinning Man turned. Its full attention settled on Marsh, and the weight of it was like gravity failing. The world muted, the rain froze in the air. The woman at the stop vanished from his perception. The Grinning Man said, "You see me. You have been tasting of yourself for days. You are already mostly room." Marsh's finger tightened on the trigger. Nothing happened. The gun in his hand felt like plaster, meaningless. The entity glided closer. Marsh's memories began to peel away. The name of his first partner, the feel of his childhood dog's fur, the reason he loved coffee. They were being neatly extracted. The Grinning Man said, "I will live your days. I will finish your case. I will be a better detective. I will be a better son. I am an improvement." This was the true horror. Not just death, replacement. A perfect, upgraded copy, living your life, and no one would ever know. In his terror, Marsh's mind, trained for patterns, made one last, desperate connection. The entity was a vacuum. It required a perfect, sealed encounter to feed. It muted the world around its prey. Marsh thought, what if I broke the seal? What if I forced in noise it couldn't control? With the last of his will, Marsh did not fight the hollowing. He focused every shred of his remaining identity on one single, sensory memory. The deafening, screeching feedback of a microphone at his grandfather's retirement party. He recalled it not as a thought, but as a physical blast of sound. The grinning man flinched. The frozen raindrops shuddered. Marsh pushed further. He recalled the blistering heat of a jalapeno, the stomach-churning spin of a carnival ride, the blinding glare of the sun on fresh snow, raw, chaotic, sensorial data. The predator's smile flickered. It was a clean, psychic feeder. This was pollution. Marsh said, "Stop," it hissed, a sound of static and annoyance. Marsh fell to his knees, vomiting nothing. But the world's sounds rushed back the rain, a distant siren. The entity's form distorted, like a reflection in a disturbed puddle. It looked disgusted. It wasn't worth the effort. The meal was spoiled. It turned and walked into the wall of the bus shelter, its form dissolving into the graffiti and rust. Marsh was found an hour later, soaked and muttering, by a patrol car. He was hospitalized for severe psychological trauma and exhaustion. The hollowing cases were suspended, filed under a cryptic, unexplained wave of fugue states. Marsh recovered. On paper, he returned to duty. But he knows the truth. He didn't win, he simply made himself taste wrong. A part of him is forever empty, a room in his mind where a memory should be. And sometimes, when he's tired, he sees his reflection smile in a window just a moment before he does. He drinks his coffee black now, though he can't remember why he ever took cream. He knows the grinning man is still out there, wearing the lives of its victims, a better version of them. And he knows, with a cold certainty that stops his heart, that it is still mildly curious about the detective who got away. It might just try again, with a better method. After all, it's always improving.